Where can we find these reputable businesses? Well, a criteria to have in order to find them around a specific general region. To find the whales, but not all whales are good. In this type, we will focus on the area around the good whales in which it's put in based on the exact business model and type of foundation in its business that's making solely pushing the business forward by powerful value factors to be a good power or not a mediocre power. So the whale is put there and it's booming of a glowy light from a business model and the type of foundation that business has that makes it solely pushing the business powerfully forward. That's why it's been glowing and glowing more by valuable factors such as products or services and combined with management and platform and all the business values that make it a good power, not a mediocre power, right? To be there, not just one quality, but many different qualities. The only way to invest effectively is to hunt for the already biggest whales of a unique kind. Already that unique kind have already many unique, powerful, and more efficient usages than any other whale of the even ones that don't do the same thing, right, than them, that they do as their expertise is somewhere else. What you're really doing is that you're finding the biggest whales, the biggest whales that have uniqueness and has more uniqueness inside it with powerful and efficient usages of using other values of their products or services around the business to the customer more than any other whale that's not even involved in the same niche as that whale and has their expertise somewhere else. Like they're much more powerful compared to a person who's not even doing the same thing as them, that that's a sure investment, even though they're both doing different things. Like that's the point that I'm trying to say across. You know this business so well that it's much more better than any business that you know, even if those businesses are involved in different areas. Because of consumer behavior. It's all about consumer behavior. You understand the consumption that will be in and will continue to hugely be in, and the business will efficiently provide that consumption and smooth out that consumption without any huge cost, small cost for an extremely long time because of the product and services they're giving. But still, it can give you a better preference type of system that makes you automatically choose and grab the businesses that's better than the other businesses that's not even related to it, right? So also, we're hunting for ones that have a high guarantee that they will become like blue whales, right? The blue whales are the biggest animals in the world, and beyond that, like we're hunting for businesses that have such uniqueness and quality to them that they're still small whales, right? They're still very small whales, but you see a high guarantee that they're going to become the biggest, most beautiful, different type of blue whale than any other that you can think of. That's what I go to when I'm investing in something that's going to become 10,000 times bigger than what it is now, right? But for predictable, I usually go with what's already unique and doing things and continue to do them. That's why they're predictable. But sometimes you have a half, right? Sometimes you have half, like big, like sometimes you have a medium that's already the biggest, right? But small. Sometimes you have like between that, but that's still excelling. That's also what you should invest in, right? But you want to invest in something that's quality into the whale. Nothing's compared to it. Not even in the future. Nothing. No one can do anything about it. That's what you should invest into it because they have the amount of quality and service they're giving. We hunt unique, the best blue whales that are evolving highly to becoming 10 times or 1 to 4 or really to 10 digits times more than what its behemoth size is currently because of how valuable the products or services are. The criteria goes like this. All right, I want you guys to pay really close attention because this is going to get pretty technical because I cannot explain this in a way like, oh, okay, do this and that and you'll get, no. That's not that. Anyone that says that, it's not that it's bad, but it's not the realistic way to go about it. I can't give you, oh, look for this exact criteria, look for that, and you already have the best business. No. I'm going to show you the layout that you'll get for every business because every business is different from another business, no matter how better they are. Because they're both different animals that require different capital, require different ways. But every business that will come in, this is why you need to understand consumer behavior. Every business that will exist in the world and in the future forever, all is going to be better. They're going to excel. They're going to become $1,000 company to $1 trillion company, not because of the industry it's in. Not because of that. It's not because I don't invest in industry. I don't invest in sector. It's not because of industry or the idea. No. It's because of consumer behavior. It's solely because of consumer behavior. A company becomes a little $1,000 company and becomes $1 trillion company in 30 years or 20 years because of consumer behavior, and they've moved it in an era towards their favor and in a huge amount than any other. And that's what you should be looking for. Not for a scrappy company, but like that. Okay, so pay attention. All right. So what is it known for selling? If you're looking at this company, what is it known for selling for? Is that what it sells the most? what its main independent product, look, its main independent product has to be almost like an island. I think about it like an island compared to the rest of the products. Like it's so separate and it's so amazing in what it has that it can still operate as efficiently and more efficiently than being in a country with those other islands. It's the same way like over here. Like if you live in California, I've always thought like if California really separated from the US, California would become a country if it wanted to. Because it's a great system what it has here that it seems like another place compared to the US, to the other states. That's the sort of product you want to look for. Like it's so independent that it could become uniquely powerful and still run as efficiently and more efficiently without having this connection with all the other products. That the independent product can run in itself as effectively without the rest of the products to make the customer still happy and even more happier. Or is it a band of products, right? Is this company super valuable on all the bands of products that it currently has that are valuably interconnected with each other that makes them total sort of like a country as a multiple sensational different products that turn it into a power machine, and each product has their feet on many areas in the same industry or different industries, that it's building an advanced and unique ecosystem for the client's convenience and necessity, that by itself, from making this for the client, it's unthinkable for them to switch, and actually sort of very biased now towards its love with its products or services, that it wouldn't even switch to another product because of how loved they feel from the care they're giving and the value that they were given from the products or services, not from the management. That it feels to them it's a part of their routines, literally, or the way how they work with things, that they wear it sort of as a team t-shirt for when they use a product, but not from the brand, right? Not that they're wearing the t-shirt of the company, but more of a t-shirt from the compatibility and the ideas and the features and usages that the product has, more than what another team has in their own products or services. Okay, if it's dominant on one of its main products, is that the one that makes all the revenue? If it doesn't, and they have half of their revenue on another product that they aren't dominant, but rather tied with a few other businesses without anything extremely unique to it or valuable for the client to prefer that product on a specific niche no one else does or does even close to it, or a whole niche even that no one else is doing as well or valuable to a specific way or light years behind compared to them. If there isn't that uniqueness of the other companies not doing the same thing, but if every one of them are doing the same thing, right, then it's not a good investment. Because if a product's making majority of its revenue, and that's what they're known for selling for, right? But if they're not extremely valuable for a client to be preferring that product for a specific niche or general niche more than any other product, and they wouldn't even think of switching, if that's not happening, right? If there's another company that's the same as them, or a little bit the same, or a little bit behind, but not that far behind, right? If that's what's going on, then that's not a good investment. Otherwise, if it's not, right, if the company's actually producing valuable for the client to prefer that product for that specific niche, and there's nothing else that could do it as effectively as that product, and it becomes sort of a routine and expectation for the field that the product can only do, in which they won't even move to the other product or service, right? If that's what's going on in that sort of product area or service as the industry, that's the company you want to invest in. Otherwise, it's not a good investment. Because look, the brand management or buying power doesn't matter at all if they don't have this first step. Because it would take something very unique and costly for them to get to that step for a product or service to develop a great relationship with the customer already, to influence enough behavior for the client to stay from solely the product, that it would be very cost intensive for the company to jump in, hence making them more prone to do something else. It's like a skinny kid wanting to become a sumo. Probably not very likely to happen. It doesn't mean they can't pursue it, but it will cost them and be way too hard, even if they have made better user interface or compatibility, and that still won't be enough, because there's a great hold on significant value from the simplicity to get information or data and give it back in a constructively visually appealing way from the other valuable product, and more cost effective and less hassle way to the customer than for the client getting it from another product from a manual mean and receiving newer features from the market, but still not as key importance compared to what they already have in formats from all their things digitalized now that can cost less time to transfer, to move. No one likes to do things manually now. Everyone wants things to be done for them and done fast and feel fast, so it can be done fast and easily. Because the client would rather want to spend their time somewhere else. Look, the client does not want to do things manually. They don't want to do things themselves if these aren't professional clients. If these are just your average everyday Joe, right? If they're doing whatever, another job, They're not going to want to go to another product that they're giving much more better features, right? But the simplicity and user interface, if it gets the problem done faster and actually more reliable and has a lot more compatibility and a lot more better model to what they're using and better user interface, they're not going to swap no matter how much let's say custom data integration you're giving to that person, because the person doesn't care about custom data integration. They just care about getting things done. So you want to look at a product and what it's doing, if it's solving the problem more effectively in total for that specific area or for that general area than anyone else by a huge margin. This is the opportunities to the company that could have this sort of very chopping data that can just easily transfer that data to the customer in a 3-word sentence and impact all of their apps and make the customer already very happy from it. That's a business you want to get into. This is exactly what happened to Android from Alphabet, which is Google, with Apple's iPhones. No matter how much new features Android does have at the end, Android doesn't have the ideas and concepts of simplicity of what made Apple in terms of processing data and moving data and formulating and appealing data to the customer, as I explained above. Similarly, like that sort of dynamic and moving around compared to Apple. Also, it's harder for Android even more because Apple has become an own country, really, with an own language, an own culture for the clients. That was one of the best things Apple has done. This is actually called a barrier of entry. That's what it's called in finance, because that makes it now very, very hard for any company and the customer to want to move to another product than their own new ones. And what their citizens, right, as their clients already in, because they are so used to that sort of language and system with Apple that they have all their things already in Apple's products that they will push with them patriotically when Apple makes more enhanced products, making it extremely hard for a company as big as Alphabet to still try to take clients existing in Apple. Because it's simply like because look, this is an example like if you were trying to convert an American per se to try to eat, believe, and speak like a Chinese person. That's just not going to happen, right? And it's the same thing with Apple and Android. They're both different, right? And the ones that comprise most of all, let's say, of society, right, if you want to say it like that, are an Apple. 80% of society is an Apple, not an Android. 20% is an Android. All the rare people, or the people who are obsessed with Windows and like to do everything themselves. That's what Windows excels at. They're the best laid back data integration when it comes to laying back the data, and the customer wants to preference and lay out that data manually by themselves. Windows excels at that. But majority of everyone doesn't care about that, because not everyone is a tech data serious person, or is a person that likes to do things themselves for the computer efficiently. People like to delegate things out there and generate it and create something simple and powerful so that they can use it and sell it or use it for their routine usages. That's what Apple excelled at. That's why Apple became the most valuable company in terms of market cap in the world, and they will continue to do so. Now, is that item selling independently valuable? Do people rely on it, or is it a product that people wouldn't mind switching because they're all not much unique because of the sole activity of the subject that the product is in, not as used as a preference or needance, more than rather as a general fuel without any other incentive motive, like an easier use with products, more features productively, that makes it able to make the rest of the fueling process more faster or easier, or easier each time as it's refueled, and more advancedly helpful as it refuels each time, with completing your task more than the other compared to another, right? If there isn't any of this and all businesses are the same, that they don't have anything like this, that they're just all the same, there's nothing productively helpful for the task, all of them just solve tasks in the same way and there isn't any dominance. If you see that in an industry, it's not a business, neither an industry you want to get in at all. If it does have a significant value from its independent product, though, to attract a wave of constant people, because they have more compatibility per se with features and brand product convenience, making the process faster as all alternatives are slower or less efficient, and along with greater user interface, that could show an indication of an already valuable product or service and a continuing propelling valuable product or service, whether it's for a specific niche or a whole general niche. Okay. Now, competition. Is their competition relatively small or big? If it's big and the competitors aren't that widely as different compared to the one you're looking at, that's not a good investment. You want something so different and so sure from uniqueness that it's not that it's uniqueness in the terms of like it's this vanishing, changing world junk. No. That's not what I mean about uniqueness, about this huge innovation. I don't invest in companies like that. I just invest in something so simple that people are trying to outsmart each other, that the other's just doing this simple idea that people like a lot more and is effectively to get the problem solved, then the other's trying to invent what the other's doing, look at in competition. That's what I mean about uniqueness. I'm not talking about product innovation for doing something so innovative that the other is trying to do more than the other. I don't like businesses like that. I try to buy businesses that have something so simple in selling, because the consumer wants something simple. They don't want something complicated. There's something so simple in the product that consumers can easily use and move with the product all the time and will continue to use more of that product than the other companies trying to make something more innovative or inventive, right? It's not about IQ, right? It's about simplicity, understanding, problem solving in an effective way without making crazy incentives to people, right? But rather a valuable concept that people will actively use for their daily usage for work. So let me repeat this because this is pretty technical. You want something so different and so sure from uniqueness, not that it's fantasy changing world junk, but rather a valuable concept that people will actively use for their daily usage or almost a few daily usage, the functioning routinely or add-on products that make all this combine easier by already making it more simpler and efficient to go about in their managing or delivering what you want to make these things better or quick for the customer to have without worrying about it. That they can keep using it super actively without even knowing much of the details of the product, depending on the type of customer the business is targeting, right? And dominant at, or the opposite, right? If the customer is a professional and wants to look at all the data and all the results effectively so they can manage it while having a powerfully automated tools that swings them around things faster or swing to a place they can't do it by themselves, but they're still piloting the course of movement and activity, right? They can use this efficient leveraging system and place convenient systems that help to move and take and hold things for them as if it was a robot for the professional client. And let's say the type of way it's compatible and efficiency solves actual relevant problems for the work and the worker. As top priority workers can delegate bigly while at the same time having their platforms as simple as possible with user interface so the customer has the least confusion as possible while working at an extreme performance rate to make powerful work their top priority. This is really a service company because that's sort of selling a service to client powerfully, but make sure that they are unique in their product, not their management, unique in their product or service, and simple as we have explained before with products. But this is the same even with service. Okay. Even despite this, do you still understand from your deep research how it makes money though? But it doesn't matter. Like, do you still understand from your deep research how it makes money and why it's better than the rest of the options? Even after your deep research, the most important thing to understand solely is how the business is making money. Not because you heard it from somewhere else, but how is it making money? Explain exactly how of what makes the cause and effect logical for it to making money in its products or service, not its management, its product or service, to continue to make more money and continue to do so for a long time. If you can give a short, thorough, few-minute explanation, a very deep explanation why they will continue to make more money and make even more afterwards, and even afterwards, if it actually makes sense too, after your explanation you made in your head that it will make more money truly from what you just said and how it will be untouchable for a long time and even a very small chance or no chance to be compromised by another product, that's a great step forward to get a very strong company. This is the most important thing you should ever do when it comes to investing in business, having what I just said there. It doesn't matter the deep research if you don't understand how the company is actually making money and will continue to do so than any other business and will continue to do so by an excelling rate than any other business in 40 to 50 years or 60, 80 years, doesn't matter. You have to be able to repeat many times to yourself and naturally know from the study or reforming your ideas a bit from your head calculations on the business until you get a firm and solid good answer of the answer. Not that you're just thinking that it's good, but that not that you're just thinking that it's good, but that you know that it's good without a doubt, not from guessing, but actually knowing, and that knowing should be reforming automatically from your deep research. Look, when you're deep researching, you shouldn't be guessing. You shouldn't be like, oh, okay, it sounds good. No. It's not that it sounds good. It's because you understand and it makes sense and it is good as of itself. And when you test things firmly all the time and it excels 100 times in your test, I don't even have to say it for you. You're going to know that's the best investment you can ever find. That's the way how I invest. From your deep research. If you still cannot think for a while, how is it making money primarily? And making the best sort of money in the most surest conservative way in your head compared to the rest of the products or competition or anyone. And most of all from what the client wants. Then if you keep trying to force it several times and nothing solid comes out, which is normal, then completely ignore the investment and look at another business. Because look, in this game, You don't get good nor wealthy from hitting everything. You actually get good at hitting the ones that actually deeply matter and not hitting a lot that comes to you, but thinking very objectively and hyper critically thinking, how is this business making money and why it would make more money than any other business you could see that you know or that it competes with them? That is definitely the most important question you should ever ask yourself when you're going to make an investment. To know truly why and how the business will make more money and make more money than any of its competitors in the long term because of a simple, solid, and short reason. The reason why the product or service independently or congruently with others are so important is because the business will be moved and excel totally from the underlying product or service they're selling. Because you want to buy a product or service so good that it can stand a lot of mismanagement. People will still consume the same and more of that product or service per year because they like and prefer the product independently from what it has more than the incentive reward system the management gives to the client to induce more buying from the people. People are likely to consume Coca-Cola if the price went up by 50% because they prefer and only prefer to drink Coca-Cola because of its taste and what it refers to. Happiness. It refers to happiness. Coca-Cola is always referred to happiness and joy. Of course, people will consume more if you give them already in a fantastic product with a good incentive bonus, right? Like buying one and get one free or something like that. But independently though, that will not make the product better or service better or make it more valuable. That people would rather solely buy something more expensive. Look, people would rather buy something more expensive because of what it offers in terms of use and taste and feeling they get for using rather than the transaction, right? People would rather buy something more expensive from what the product offers independently, completely for what it does. From after you bought it, you're using it and you love it, you're going to buy it again. Not because they give you it for free, right? When you use look, everyone is going to agree with me. When you use a good product, a fantastic product, you're going to buy it again. You're not going to buy it again because they're selling it to you for free. That's going to induce the selling. But you're going to buy it again for sure because the product is valuable. It does something else that no one else does. That's why you prefer it. And it gets the process done more easily. That's why the products and service are more valuable than trying to induce the selling more. So look, people would rather solely buy something more expensive because of what it offers in terms of use and taste and feeling they get for using rather than the transaction themselves. Remember, everything has value, but they just only have a price for that value, but people will consume more regardless of price a lot of the times if the product makes them feel happier and it makes them part of who they are, easier and faster in what they are currently using or they're going to use, and this product is actually going to help adopt a new platform or a new system for the new way of life or routine they want to make. And this sort of way of doing things, they're better than any other business that you can find if that's the case. Oh, sorry, I kind of copied that. That was a typo. A company that has an adequate product with a great management will not excel. That's simple because people are going to prefer over time a lot more to the product that gives more accessibilities to things and problem solving than the problem solving, not management, product and service independently, than the product who's selling at a discount, at discounts or crazy marketing. That's why marketing is pointless if you don't have a valuable product or service if you want to scale a business. Look, you can't scale a shit product with an excellent management. That's just not going to happen because people don't like the product as much but prefer it more because you're giving them more rewards than outside of the product. This makes it easier for a competitor to come in and just go all out in the product that they're going to use, that they're going to sell, and surprise attack the good management one with stellar capabilities. I'm not saying the stellar capabilities with the good management. I'm talking about the person surprise attacking the good management one with now stellar capabilities in its products and abilities given to customers from the product that it will take the management company either a nonsense crazy reward system that isn't even effective at all nor stable. Because remember, when a company does a lot of reward systems, they're giving up a lot of the times revenue or income or cash flow by wanting to increase more retention and traffic rather than the other, which has the valuable product, can just keep doing what it's doing without doing anything crazy and built already what's known as a moat. That's how a moat is created. I look for stable businesses, not for ones that are trying to go out their way and outsmarting the next by giving crazy incentive or sales systems, because those tend to work. And by nature, the simple business will win because it just has to focus on itself, on its own customers, that it couldn't even care less what the other's doing, while the one with management does care. In other words, you want to invest in the turtle, not in the rabbit, because the rabbit can do all types of crazy things in the short term, but will eventually lag behind because of it's focusing on the wrong areas of what's making the business valuable from its product or service values. You just cannot scale with just relying on management. That's the problem with a lot of smart people that are trying to outcompete with each other by any means just to bring up a bit more cash rather than focusing on the product or service value, independently talking and letting the result of customer satisfaction from using the product do the talking. That's what's important. You don't want a company that's bringing up a lot of cash and have all this high talk, right? Then focusing on its product or service value that's actually creating a lot of fantastic customer satisfactions that is already doing the talking for the product. Those are the type of businesses you should look for, not the management that's talking highly. No, let the product and let the customer talk highly of the product. Don't induce more talking.